to the border clashes that have been witnessed, not just recently, but in the last 2 months or so. Various lives have been lost, and we just want to take a look at the best steps to take in order to quell the situation before it becomes worse. I am joined in studio by one of the security analysts who will be giving us his take on matters to do with security in the country and regionally as well. Jonathan Okoth Opande, thank you so much for your time, and karibu sana to our studios. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Let's start with matters home before we cross borders.
Yes.
And it would be proper to perhaps note that more lives have been lost just today in the Sondu clashes, those who are in hospital. We understand the fatality has actually increased, and that's quite unfortunate. But before we get to the current situation, perhaps with the benefit of hindsight, give us the historical perspective of this particular area, Sondu. We understand it's an area that borders Kericho and Kisumu counties.
Thank you, Joseph. I hail from that region. So Sondu is a border town between Kericho and Kisumu, and the clashes there is a little bit historical, and they culminate from the border disputes and cattle rustling between the two communities. The latest one that we are now dealing with now started last week on Monday, when there was a bit of tension. This week on Monday, there was a bit of tension when some cows were stolen from a homestead near somewhere called Radienya.
Radienya in Kisumu?
In Kisumu.
Okay.
And late in the night, at around 2 a.m., the locals found one of the suspects and mobbed the suspect. So what we're dealing with is a bit of retaliatory attacks from the neighbors, which are not helping in resolving the matters, because both leadership, both Kericho and Kisumu, agree that apart from the border disputes, the rampant cattle rustling between Nyakach and Belgut and sometimes Soin is a big issue for the security of that region.
You've mentioned cattle rustling, and that's been aired time and time again. One thing that you mentioned, the border is one of the causative factors.
Yes.
Due to the tensions. Give us a perspective to this. Is Sondu in Kisumu? Is it in Kericho? And what are they pushing about? And equally, in terms of collection of revenue by the county from Sondu, I understand there's been push and pull as well. Kindly illustrate.
Historically,
yeah,
Sondu is in Kisumu County, but administratively now it's in Kericho County. Why is it contradictory? There was a time that there was border problem in 1974, I'm told, that involved the then Vice President, the late Daniel Moi. And when he came for direction in Sondu, he stated that the border is somewhere there. So he never gave the indication of where the border is. But the border should be, as per the map of 1968, verified, is that the Sondu police station was initially called the Nyanza police post, is the border between Kisumu and Kericho, the then Nyanza and Rift Valley. And that's why even today, when you check the head counts of the police station in Sondu, police station, that is soaked up in Kericho, the head count of the police still reads Kisumu. Because of such long time injustices, the revenue for Sondu has been going to Kericho. But we've sought that we want to address the matter through a judicial review, so that we don't have our people on the arms end by fighting and claiming this is my border, that's my border. Okay. This country has a proper mapping, and we are aware that if we subject IBC to do for us a complete review of the boundaries, we will definitely know where the border is, and the process for the petition is ongoing, so that the people can have a one-time lasting solution for the Sondu border problems.
Okay, so in one way, according to my understanding, you believe that the issue can be sorted once the boundary is sorted out, first of all. But equally, we've heard from the county governments of both sides, and they've been urged to go to the table and deliberate in terms of airing out their issues, whether political, whether due to boundaries or whatnot. What would be the best approach in terms of quelling the situation as it is right now, as we look for that judicial review or the boundary review in the long term?
Looking to the recent happenings in Sondu, which will only last the 1 year government of Kenya Kwanza, and it is very bad coincidence for the president, to say the least. Last time I was visiting Nyanza, we were going to the homecoming of the PS Interior, our friend Rayo Molo. There was similar skirmishes in the same region that we lost 3 lives in. We lost 1 person from Rangwe, another person was from Nyakach, and the 3rd person was from Kabondo, Kasipul. It is a very bad coincidence that today is heading there for a 4-day trip with all the national security operators having set base in Kisumu, with all the abilities, that we are still experiencing this kind of attacks a day to his arrival. So we are a little bit worried that is this a bad coincidence, or there's something you don't understand in terms of security makeup for that region. On how to resolve this matter at the moment, a day before these attacks, I must also be very clear that I gave the local authorities full intelligence that there's pending attacks in Sondu, based on local intelligence that I have.
So they failed to act on that intelligence.
And they failed to act on that intelligence, and we've lost 7 lives as a result of just failure to act on intelligence, which was given prior in advance. What we require now is that let the Kericho side call on their youths that are touching houses and killing people in Kisumu County to go back home. I must say that there has not been a victim from Kericho that the house has been touched from the lower side, so to say, the Kisumu side. And let them call on their youths, I don't want to call them gang, but let them call the youths to go back and desist from these fights. Let the police take up the active role of not coming after the crime. They should prevent the crime from happening. And we have a situation now that the deployment is along the road, and we are very much aware that the road, the Kisii-Isibania road, the Kisii-Kisumu-Isibania road is not the border. So the deployment should be at the border to deter movement of the other citizens from crossing to the other side. I must confirm that yesterday, just near that road where the police are, and we have a police station there set called Ngege Police Post, some an older man in his 70s, was butchered in the house. What the police was standing on the road. Had they been at the border, as they should have been, that life would have been saved.
Okay, that's just quite unfortunate, but we definitely hope for quelling of the violence that has been witnessed in that particular area. I understand Kimboi Kiprono Gilbert is joining us virtually. I hope you can hear me clearly, Kimboi. Just plugging into the conversation, we've heard from Jonathan in terms of the quick fix that is needed, perhaps political intervention and police intervention as well. From your point of view, what needs to be done to quell the situation before it escalates?
I just say, hope you are hearing me clearly. My name is Kimboi Gilbert, Managing Partner Kimboi Chambers Advocates, and I'm also the CEO of Wakili Kimboi Foundation. that work in line with promoting peace within the bordering Kisumu and Kericho counties. I've noted with concern my colleagues' sentiments, and I want to be very spurious on the outcome. And bringing you to speed, Chase, today is Teachers' Day. I want to stand in solidarity with the teachers in affected areas, where the primaries that are affected at Sondu and the Cosmopolitan Market. I want to recognize that the teachers affected in Sondu Union Primary, Sondu Secondary, Agai Secondary, Ono Secondary, Kibuon Secondary, Saga Ndege, where the two communities are pitching hostilities. I want to stand with them in solidarity. Secondly, Chase, I want to inform the listeners that the security lapse in Sondu is a concern, and it can be sustained. One, there is need to pull the two police posts into one central command, because as we speak, police stations are not for counties. There should be no police station for Kisumu County or police station for Kericho County. For harmony to prevail, I think there should be centrality of the two police stations with one command. And the centralization should be from top. The president should actually be harmonious in directing that. There should be a role of state actors in terms of disseminating peace within the region. I've actually listened keenly to my colleagues stating that the youth from Kericho side are gangs. I want to state that the reason why the youth play roles that are imaginary are the aspects that affect them in terms of youth unemployment. And I think the state actors, the leadership should actually foster dialogue rather than blame game. The reason of boundary divides, again, is a question of concern, which of course it needs stakeholders. Of course, if we are opening Pandora and a can of worms to state that our boundary is past police station, our boundary should start here, that is not the solution. The solution is for state actors, cohesive community coexistence, and actually paramount peace building that the two communities should engage. We should not be shedding blood in terms of the boundary issues, how the youths are branded as gangs. We should actually note that there are deep tensions, which of course it is factored by misinformation, boundary conflicts, mistrust among the communities, and there is need for community dialogue, peace building workshop, and mediation efforts. Otherwise, if we continue blaming each other, there will be no solution. Cheers.
Blame game is not a solution, but it's also proper to note where the rain started beating us in one way or the other. Gentlemen, I don't think we'll be able to converse so much in terms of what's happening in Lamu and Haiti. So let's just focus on this. You've given us your take, Jonathan, on the solutions that are needed. Perhaps your reaction to what our colleague Kemboi has just mentioned briefly.
Wakile, nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
I must say that I refrained from calling the youth from Kericho gangs.
True.
And I will continue refraining as much as I can, despite the character I've seen. And moving forward, I want to thank you for acknowledging that the impact of this violence has affected only the schools in Kisumu, the ones you mentioned, and I come along and also stand with our teachers in solidarity, being the Teachers' Day. I will not repeat the names of schools, but I know the schools between Sao coming all the way to Agai, Holosaka, Kibon included, are highly affected and they're closed. In my own home, I have 70 kids and their parents, which have turned my residence to IDP camp because they cannot go back home and some of their homes have been touched. I don't want us to assume that we will talk about the matters Sondu and matters conflict Kisumu, Kericho without being straight and direct on the matter of the border, because that is the fundamental cause of the disputes and that's the cause of this continuous clashes.
Okay.
We must take the bull by the horn and tell Kericho where the boundary is and Kericho tell Kisumu where the boundary is, without misusing the state machineries.
Okay.
That is very vital. And number two, we may not also proceed with matters peace, because some of these non-state actors are NGOs that are just putting up to bring in funds for their own use and call media for few showcases without addressing the key matters on the ground. Some of them use this to advance political careers as well, we are aware. But we cannot keep hiding under the non-state access diplomacy while avoiding the key matters confronting our people, and which every time they do come results to loss of life.
Okay, that's well noted. Wakili, I'll give you 30 seconds or so, because we're expecting President William Ruto to head to Luo Nyanza region 4 days, and definitely he'll land with the state security apparatus. What should be his approach to quelling the situation in that particular region? Just briefly, Wakili.
Thank you very much, Chese. As I noted earlier, there is need for sustained effort from all stakeholders. Stakeholders meaning my brother has just alluded that the state actors are very prime in terms of disseminating peace in the region. Within the cosmopolitan region that uppers 4 counties, that is Kisumu, Kericho, Nyamira, and Homa Bay. These state actors should play a key role, and they have been playing, Chase, I can tell you. The only factor that is demeaning in terms of development is that the state actors, my colleague is accusing, should actually work well within the leaders from these regions. So that now the blessings of the state actors, probably these NGOs, and of course what we are doing, should have a blessing of all the leaders from the regions. Like, for instance, now, yesterday morning, my governor from Kericho County was issuing a press conference, and he insisted that they will be meeting on a closed door with the current governor on the other side, so that they can have a round solution on how to quell this issue. Because you've actually, having been very keen, you've realized my brother is very keen on boundary issue, and that will now, if we don't give an holistic approach to the boundary issue, it will cause an harm in the long run. All we want is, even if we are saying the boundary issue should be addressed, I think this is a question of the stakeholders, being the 9 actors, the governor from Kisumu, the governor from Kericho, the opinion leaders, and the state actors, so that they can come together, pool resources. On the question of the presidential visit, I think the president should have a sustained effort in terms of informing sustained peace in the area. I think the should actually come in handy and excel on the same.
Okay, Wakili, thanks for keeping it brief. It's definitely a touchy issue that needs a lot of time to discuss, but we definitely appreciate your input. Wakili Kemboi Kiprono joining us via video link right there, adding his voice on this very important matter, equally joined by Jonathan Okoth Opande, a political player from that region, but equally joining us in his capacity as an analyst in terms of the security of that area. Remember, President William Ruto is heading to Luo Nyanza tomorrow, and he definitely add his voice to the ongoing clashes.